Robert Plank Show, episode 285, The Wholesale Formula, the superior alternative to retail arbitrage and private labeling on Amazon with Dan Meadors. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the show. Our guest today is Dan Meadors, and Dan started out selling on Amazon as a part-time venture along with his lifelong friend Eric Lambert. And in less than 5 years, they took their initial $600 investment and have generated more than $13 million in sales on Amazon. I think this is going to be a fun story, a fun interview. Dan, how are things today?
Fantastic, man. I'm happy to be on the show.
Awesome. I'm happy as well and excited to hear about this cool story. So you're selling on Amazon, and can you kind of catch everyone up, like this whole thing of like being an Amazon seller? Can you kind of explain to us like what that is exactly?
Yeah, it was actually a foreign concept to us when we first heard about it. One of our friends, we all worked at the same place, and we live in Kentucky. I'm sure you guys can tell by my accent. But there's not a lot of high-paying jobs in our area, and this guy had a six-figure job, which is relatively unheard of here. And he came in and turned in his resignation, and we had no idea what's going on, man. It's like, are you moving or something? And he said no, he was just going to stop and sell full-time on Amazon. And he kind of explained to us, and it's like, that was one of those things like, you're selling what? What are you selling? And he was like, I just shop in stores and send stuff into Amazon. And it's like, so that was mind boggling to us. And that's kind of how we got started. Is he told us a little bit about it. And that, we started out shopping in stores, and, it was, we would just go to Walmart and we would find something that was more expensive on Amazon, and then we would buy, as many as we could. We'd take them home, pack them up, and ship them all to the FBA fulfillment centers, and it was unbelievable. Like you look at these prices and you're thinking like, I'm buying something for $3, and then you see it on Amazon for $14.99. You assume nobody's buying it, but whenever we sent that first shipment in, it was like magic. And there was one little Disney car we sent in. It was like it was Shu Todoroki was the little dude's name. And whenever we sent it in, we didn't expect. We thought we might sell like one a week or maybe never, to be perfectly honest. And within the first 24 hours, we sold like 30 of those things. And we bought them for $2.99, and we're selling them for $14.99. And, that first 6 months was kind of like a wild ride, because, we were kind of learning what Amazon, like the capabilities of Amazon and how easy it was. And then once we learned that, we both had pretty high paying jobs for the area too. But we left our jobs and started doing Amazon full time. And then, that went on for another 2 years, and we were all just we were shopping in stores every day and sending our stuff into Amazon. But I'll be honest with you, it was a lot of work. And it was one of those things that's like, I didn't quit a pretty awesome job to really just drive around in a giant van.
Manual labor, right?
Right. It's like I didn't want to just drive around in a giant van 5 days a week and then, be packing and shipping 1 day a week and spending 1 day at home. And so we started thinking about different kinds of models that would allow us to not be on the road and not, be more less manual labor. So we looked into like private label, and then it's really complicated, and there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of liability with the model. And then we settled on wholesale, and that was in I think it was 2015. Or mid 2014. No, it's mid 2015, I believe, whenever we switched to wholesale full time. And we finished that year at 1.28 million in sales. Oh, and wow. That was it wasn't a real big improvement because we only switched like mid year to that model, but it was growing really fast. And then it was 2014 because then 2015 we did 3.8 million. And we were complete wholesale, and then 2016 we did right at 7 million. And I realize wholesale is kind of like techno-babbly, and people may not understand what it is. What it is we work with manufacturers and brand owners directly. So like you think of a Nike shoe or something like that, and we purchase product directly with those brands. We try to establish relationships with them, and that's the products that that's the products we carry on Amazon.
Awesome. And so yeah, have to admit, like, I hadn't heard of this wholesaling thing up until now. Like, I think I started the Amazon stuff sort of late. Like, I started doing the retail arbitrage like maybe mid 2014 or so, and I thought it was like the silliest thing as well. Also, like, I went into like the local Big Lots in town, and then there were like three people in the store who were like scanning their phones also, and I'm in like sort of a small town here, and it was like sort of weird, and I started sending those in, and I kind of experienced the same thing similar as you. Like, I was like spending a day like going to stores and loading up all the cards and taking them home and like counting stuff and peeling off all labels, and it got pretty old pretty quickly for me. And then my business partner jumped in with the private labeling stuff, but as you said, like, there were a lot of steps. It was a lot of work, and so this wholesaling thing. So you work with these brands and the manufacturers, and do you and your business partner like just purchase these items outright and then send them to Amazon, or like is it a matter of like you promise a certain number of sales, or what's kind of the agreement there?
We actually purchase the items outright. And the first thing you realize whenever you get in, one of the core dynamics or differences between private label and wholesale is that with private label, it is a fantastic model. Creating your own brand is a powerful thing. And I'm not, I don't want to seem like this is negative towards private label, but there's a lot of work that goes into creating that brand. And you have to create demand, you have to drive demand, you have to drive traffic to your product, and it takes a fairly large amount of capital up front to make a private label product successful. Whereas with wholesale, what we're doing is we're looking for products that are already selling well, and then we reach out to those brands and set up a relationship with them. And one of the first things that we noticed, and it was kind of crazy, is like our biggest headache was. Whenever we'd reach out to these brands, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we'd love to set up a relationship with you guys and sell your products on Amazon." They were like, we really don't need any more people to sell our products on Amazon." And it was like, "What? Like you don't want me to sell your product on Amazon? Like this is an order for you. Like you don't want money?" And it was, so that was like perplexing at first, where they just didn't. It's like they didn't want our money, and so then we started thinking about it from the perspective of how Amazon works. And, the way Amazon works is it's like a sales pie. Like effectively, a product's going to get so many sales regardless of how many people are on it. And unless those people are increasing the size of the pie, they're actually a detriment. So we started looking at it from the perspective of how we can help these brands get better and better placement on Amazon, more optimized listings that create better conversion and all this other it's all relatively simple stuff once you start doing it, but it's nobody had we didn't feel like there were a lot of people offering this service to brands, and that was what we started coming at it from the perspective of serve first. Like we wanted to, help our brands actually succeed on Amazon. And whenever we did that, it was daylight and dark. I mean, like now companies actually wanted to work with us. And once you do it for a company, like once you're able to help them out and help them get better at performing on Amazon, like they want to work with you more, that you get more discounts and you get more, there's all kinds of crazy little things that happen. And that's how our business evolved, and went from, 1.28 to 3.8 and then to 7. So it's, we really adopted a serve first mentality.
Crazy. And so I'm really curious just about how you figure out like which of these products to buy in wholesale, because you mentioned there that you look for products that are already selling well, but how do you know if a product is selling well if it's not on Amazon, or if there's no sort of ranking to check for that?
I mean, that's the only thing we use. We always start our product searches on Amazon. So like all of our product searches, we're not trying to bring new products to Amazon. Our specialty is taking an existing product and making it better. So all of our initial searches are done on Amazon, and we use a tool called Jungle Scout. And Jungle Scout is It'll tell you how many times something sells in a month. So it takes that like kind of, awkward rank number where it's like, something maybe 4,000 in health and personal care. And like nobody really knows what that means. Well, Jungle Scout kind of gives us a gauge of, 4,000 in health and personal care means it sells 345 times a month or something like that. And then we're able, once we have that data, all we have to do is figure out what percentage of those sales we're going to get. And then it's like a portfolio. Like once I add a product to, once I convince that manufacturer to let me sell their product, all I'm doing is, let's say that thing sells 345 times a month, and there's 4 other people that are really competing on that offer, or let's call it 400 times a month. That way the math will be easy. Effectively, all I'm doing is selling 100 units of that product a month.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding you correctly, so you go on Amazon and you see that these products are already selling. So maybe if there's like a tennis racket or a water bottle or something, so that would be that brand is selling, but then that brand have not listed the product on Amazon themselves. It's just on Amazon just as a result of those third-party sellers like buying and doing the retail arbitrage.
Correct. And that's actually what you said right there is part of the trick behind the magic, right? And it's, most of those retail arbitrage sellers who like create those listings don't do a great job at it. So it's like that product's already doing pretty well. Let's say it's selling 400 times a month. But if you went in and you maybe made that title a bit more descriptive, maybe that product sells 600 times a month. And you've done something amazing for that brand, something that they will love and appreciate you for. And that's the trick behind the magic. Is it's all I'm doing is tweaking one thing, and it may take us 5 minutes, but it's going to make that product convert better and see more traffic or whatever.
Awesome. So you're not just blindly going in and seeing the hot seller and adding more fuel to the fire. You're saying, well, there's all this untapped stuff that I could just do and make the listing better and just fix a few things up, and then just that alone will increase the rankings. And so, I mean, how do you even like discover these products in the first place? Because there's that Jungle Scout, and does that give you suggestions, or do you have to know a product to look at it and see the number of sales, or how do you narrow that part down?
It's actually funny because it's one of the weirdest things. I mean, our research method is kind of like one of the more weird things you'll probably hear. And here's the thing is we don't try to compete on, like I'm not trying to compete on big giant brands like Nike. I don't sell Nike products, and it's because I can't help Nike. Any of those changes I would make is not going to impact Nike's bottom line to any level that they would find significant. But if what we're looking for is we're looking for smaller companies and more like niche brands, and with those companies, we're able to, if we can make their product sell 200 times more a month, like that's huge for them. That can be huge on their bottom line at the end of the year. So what we're looking for is medium to small size companies. And the way we find stuff like that is like searching, you hear all these weird things throughout the day. You see something on Facebook and you're like, I wonder what that is. And, it's like, for example, organic dog treat or vegetarian dog treat. It's like, I didn't know that existed. That's like a really powerful niche on Amazon. And it's, you don't walk into Walmart or Target and see organic or vegetarian dog treats. It's just something you don't see. So where are these people buying that product? They're buying it online, and that's a niche where I can definitely serve them, and I can definitely help improve their products. So it's every time we hear something strange or something we've not really heard of before, we just write it down, and then we'll do a search on Amazon and look around to just find, 1 or 2 products that look really good. And then we may research, like maybe we find out that it's, there's another related search term to it. And we'll just continue down that path of looking for products. So all of our product research happens on Amazon. And once you start doing this kind of stuff and once you start understanding like the kind of things that big box doesn't carry, and that niches that exist, this becomes like really easy. And there was an adoption period for us. Like if you looked at in the first 2 months of us doing this, like our research was so much slower. But now it's just we're able to find hundreds of opportunities every single day.
Awesome. Yeah, and I imagine once you do it a few times, you kind of get an eye for it, and you kind of say, okay, well, these veggie dog treats, this is something I should be pursuing or not. And so, I mean, is there any sort of like checklist or criteria you go down? Because I imagine that you might have researched some of these products, but then once you dug a little deeper, you realize that, maybe like the profit margins not good enough or something like that sort of rules it out. So is there sort of like a checklist or like things you look out for?
Initially, yes. It's like, first off, you don't know, you're never going to know the profit margin until you contact the company and get their price sheet, but you can save yourself a lot of time. Like, one of the things that we're looking for is that Amazon does not sell the product. And it's because Amazon doesn't share sales the same way that third-party sellers. Like, if me and you are sharing a product on a listing, I'll get roughly 50% of the sales, and you'll get roughly 50% of the sales. Now, when Amazon's on that same listing, they're going to get about 100% of the sales. So it's really hard to, even if they do share, it's not equitably. So it's very hard to build your business around products that Amazon carries. Then the second part is we look for products that aren't private labeled. And it's like, for example, you built your product to sell on Amazon. Like, you built your product with a retailer first mindset. So I'm not going to really be able to offer you much. Like, you're doing all that optimization yourself. You're doing all the things that you need to do to make your product successful. And I just don't feel like I can help you. So that's one of the key criteria that we're looking for is that, we can actually help the brand we're trying to work with. And then the last thing is that the product is, I got into it and forgot what that third criteria was. Hang on just one second. Oh, that the product actually got lost right there. The product actually sells well. And what we're looking for there is, we like products that we can sell a minimum of like 50 or 60 times a month. And what that does is that, basically when a product sells well, that means there's demand for it. And it's like, it doesn't have to be a consumable product that somebody, like a toothpaste or something where you buy it every single month. But if there's existing demand for that product, then that's something where you can, you're always going to be able to sell it. Like, if prices drop or something like that, like, God forbid the prices drop and you're not making any money, but at least you're not stuck with product. And that's what I love is we've never gotten stuck with a product. It's like, we've had to sell something that, like the worst case scenario for us is selling something at like a 10% loss. Like, that's the worst case. And then I just never buy it again. But if it's something, with most of our products, like, what happens is we buy them, we sell them and make, 25, 30% ROIs. And we do it month after month after month. And we're not having to reinvest time and energy into those products. Like, all we did was make them convert better, make them do very well. And then after that, it's effectively like a piece of our portfolio.
Awesome. And then just runs on autopilot. And what I like about, and what sort of caught my attention there is that you said that, so for some of these products that you sell, sometimes you're only looking for 50 or 60 sales a month. And so it's not like you say, well, unless I can sell 100 a day, it's not worth it. And so I'm curious about, like, what's the sort of like average like transaction on your end? Like, how many like how big of a buy are you looking for, or how many like sales per month are you looking for on average?
No, I mean, for us, like, we order everything we order in a monthly volume. So it's, basically I place an order for a month's worth. And that way, if the product changes or something changes about it, like, I don't have way too much inventory. Like, I don't have to buy like 6 months or 8 months worth of inventory because everything we buy is domestic too. So I can just place a reorder and it takes me 5 minutes. So whenever our average order size is probably, our average order size now is much bigger than it used to be. Whenever we first started, our average order size was probably like $600 or $700. But now it's probably like $2,000 on average, and that's bear in mind that's like 2 or 3 years in. So that's that's another thing I love about wholesale is, like, you can really get started, with you can get started with $500 or $600. Like, a lot of minimum orders are $250, and that gives you a few products that you can just buy and start selling and see some success with, to kind of like give you that proof of concept.
Awesome, and that sounds to me like an even another thing that makes it better than private labeling. So you don't have to throw in like a couple grand at that. And I really like how you said it's just monthly volume. So it's not like you're buying a ton and doing a bunch on shipping to get it sent into Amazon and then getting stuck with those long-term storage fees. It's just every single like month after month there. So that's pretty cool. And so to sort of like solidify this kind of idea in everyone's minds, including mine, can you kind of walk us through like a case study of yours where you kind of went and you found this brand, you contacted the supplier, and then set this up and kind of did all that? Can you kind of walk us through like the steps you usually take, and maybe even like an example of some steps you did take?
Sure. One of the products that we worked with early was a company called Scratch Labs, and they sell a nutrition drink for bike riders. And it's one of those like electrolyte style drinks. And whenever we started working with them, like their product, it was already doing pretty well. It's selling, probably 400 or 500 times a month. And whenever we started with that product, we noticed some key components that were. I guess you're actually wanting me to go before that, right? Like you're wanting me to talk about how we found the product, or how deep are you want me to go here?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not too lengthy, yeah, I'd be interested in sort of what thought process led you to that.
Okay, so one of the first products that a product I can give you a pretty good little detailed idea about what we did was we started looking for things related to the bike riding niche. And the bike riding niche is one of those things that's pretty wide. Like most people think of, if I say bike riding, they're thinking of like a bicycle, but they're not thinking of components that will go along with it. So we were looking for basically like energy chews to keep your mouth wet, like when you're riding bikes. We were looking for things to prevent you from being thirsty, bike chains, and that kind of stuff. And we came across a product called Scratch Labs. And Scratch is it's basically like an energy drink that replenishes your electrolytes. And the product was, it definitely it was selling well, but it could do better. It was one of those things where, it had like one picture and the picture wasn't very good, and it had, the title was kind of lacking. And then you look at the listing and there's just all these little like small things you can fix. And we got in and, we started with that product and started working with it. And whenever one of the first things we did is we got them to give us, here's the thing about it. It's like, most people are like, I'm not a professional photographer. We aren't either. Like we actually don't have a photographer on staff. But most of these brands, like if you reach out to them and you ask them for pictures, like they have pictures of their own products. So we asked them for updated pictures. We got all their updated pictures on the listing. We changed the title to be, a little more vibrant. We added some length to the bullet points, and that product, is selling like 400 or 500 times a month. It went up to where it started selling about 1,000 times a month, and we were selling about, I think it was less than 3 other people. And it's like, did it help those other sellers? Absolutely, absolutely, it helped them, but it really helped that brand. So realistically, we were selling about 250 50 of that one product every single month. And that one product, I think we made about $6 on every unit we sold. So, I mean, do that math. It's like that's once a month for one product, we were making $1,500 a month.
Awesome.
And it's like, granted, we were sharing sales, but I didn't have to pay. Like, that's the thing is with private label, you keep your own buy box, right? And it's like, that's attractive, but you also have to make that buy box relevant. It's like we didn't really have to do anything. I didn't have to spend a ton of ad money. I didn't have to do any kind of like giveaways or anything like that. Like, effectively everything I did was was organic. And it probably took us about an hour's worth of time. And then we, for over a year, we made about $1,500 a month from that product. So I mean, look at that in terms of, it's like we made $18,000 from that 1 hour's worth of work and a 5-minute phone call every month.
I mean, crazy. Yeah. I mean, if there was a way to make 18 grand from every 1 hour work, I mean, it's like, how many hours would you put in? Like as many as possible. That's crazy.
And that's the concept we did. It's kind of funny that you say that, because it's like, and so me and Eric were doing this all of ourselves, and it was like, it's the same thing. Is we're now that we have these systems, like, it's not everything we do is not time based anymore, because like that hour, you saw the hour and it paid dividends exponentially, and it's like we just need to be able to do more hours. Like if we could just do more hours, like we can make our income's pretty unlimited. So what we did is we hired a couple of employees, and our employees, we had to train them and stuff like that. But now me and Eric, like on our business, we probably work combined probably about 10 to 15 hours every a month, or a week rather. And it's 10 hours worth of work. But our employees, that's the thing about Wholesale, and that's what I love about it, is it's just systems. All it is like, if this, if a product meets this criteria, call them. If it doesn't, don't do it. And then once they call them, again, it's like, if it meets this profitability criteria, go ahead and place an order. Place an order for this many units, and it's like we base our units on our projected sell through. So it's like once we taught them those systems, it's like all it is just a point of scaling.
Awesome. And so, speaking of scaling, I mean, have you had any sort of difficulties with growing the business, like with bringing on those employees, or doing more volume, or with like getting into some of these gated categories? Any sort of struggles like that?
Well, I mean, as far as like our struggles are a bit different. I mean, than as far as gated categories, like one of the things about like getting into a gated category is that you buy your products from the manufacturer and you can give invoices like that. So I mean, we can get into any category we want. So that part's like easy. But as far as like struggles, it's more just like as you're growing and as you increase your volume, like if we had to do it all over again, we would have definitely outsourced our prep to like a fulfillment center, to one of the prep centers. But those didn't exist when we started. We already had like a warehouse and stuff. And it's more or less just creating systems that allow you to process more inventory. And one of the things that most people think is like, I'll just hire more people. That's not how it works. Like every person you hire beyond the first is kind of like less effective. So you have to create systems to be able to catch them up faster. And it was like one of the things we ran into last year is we were really trying to jam before Q4. We were trying to get a lot of product in, and we increased our buying and stuff like that. We were still picking up new lines. And what we did is we created a log jam of product in our warehouse. Effectively, these guys were working through it as fast as they could, but it was just too much stuff, and it kind of it hurt our cash flow a bit. And it's just one of those things where we had to really go back and look at what caused the problem. And our systems weren't scaled to keep up with our growth. So we put a lot of focus on that this year, and then we're looking at new systems to outsource a lot of our prep and ship to prep centers now, and that way we can always maintain the amount of, we can basically track our capacity internally, and then everything else is just handled by prep centers.
Awesome. And as you're explaining this, and as you're explaining this throughout this whole call, I really like your mindset of like, well, here's the problems we came up against, so I need to have a system to tackle that, or we have like this one part of the system isn't good, so we need to improve that. So I really like that sort of mindset, where a lot of people might have given up or said, oh, this is like so much work. Then your thinking is more along the lines of, well, I'm sort of almost on track, I'm sort of almost on target, but what about the system could be improved, and not just throw more bodies at it, not just hire more people, but sort of fix up that system. And sort of along those lines, what do you guys have planned next, or is there anything sort of on the horizon that's sort of new and cutting edge and has you excited? Anything like that?
I mean, as far as our business goes, it's we realize that our value is not necessarily in selling products. Our value is in better serving our manufacturers. So we've really committed a lot of energy to that. Like we've really committed a lot of energy to developing, to being more effective at working with them and helping them achieve their goals on the Amazon platform. So it's like we've kind of adopted a mindset now of where we're less of a retailer and more of a brand specialist to help brands improve on Amazon. And with that mindset, what we're doing is we're trying to develop even closer relationships, and it's resulted, because it doesn't start, like, I don't think you ever start with exclusives, but we've gotten so good at being able to deliver real value and real placement that we've been offered several exclusives. And so that's kind of one of the ways we're transitioning our business, is we're trying to develop even closer relationships with all the companies we work with.
Awesome. So working your way up and doing that by getting really, really good at just one thing. So I want to make sure that for everybody who heard your story today and heard about all these cool things that both of you are doing, can you kind of tell us about your websites? And if someone listened to what you had to say and they got super energized and pumped up, where should they go to sort of find out what there is to know about this whole wholesaling thing?
Yeah, absolutely. We have our website is thewholesaleformula.com. And, that's what we do there is we talk about some of the strategies we use. We have a blog that, we have regularly update with cool new strategies and try to really help people. Because honestly, I love this opportunity. It's changed my life. Like, I went from being a person that, traditionally that had a job and was basically had to do, I had to build my life around that job, to being able to kind of do what I want. Like, now if we, it's funny, like I posted a little picture on Facebook the other day of my wife literally called, it's like on a Wednesday, and she's like, hey, you want to go down to Gatlinburg for like 2 or 3 days? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And just got up and left. Like, that's, and it was one of those things, like my kids being able to experience that and stuff like that. I want to be able to pass that along too. So, that's one of the things that our website is there for. And I got something cool for your audience, like if they want to check it out. Yeah. It's kind of how to get started with wholesale and Amazon on our website. And it's, if you go to the Wholesale Formula/guide, like that, we have a walkthrough of exactly what we do and kind of like how we do it.
All right, cool. So everyone should go to thewholesaleformula.com/guide and get that. And another thing is, out of curiosity, if a brand wants your guys' help to sort of get their stuff out there, is that a thing you do? Like, if brands come to you, or do you only approach those brands?
Oh, we get reached out. Like, we get actually reached out to all the time, and it's as you get better at it, it's one of the things that you start to see is like people, they realize like, hey man, like this Amazon stuff's pretty. It's pretty time consuming for us, and we really want to concentrate on other areas of our business. Maybe it's like some sort of global distribution or getting into brick and mortar more or something like that. And they need somebody to do that. Like, just this past week, we've been contacted by 4 different companies wanting us to carry their products. And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things, as you improve at something like this, opportunities continue to open up for you.
Awesome. And so if someone is one of those brands, is there an easy way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to us at dan@thewholesaleformula.com, and I'll send that over to our buying team, and they'll take a look at it. And if it's a great fit, they'll definitely reach out. And if it's not, we still contact people back, and we'll tell them, it's not a fit for what we're looking for right now, but we can offer it to our students.
Awesome.
And we've done that successfully. Because some of our students, their business is in a different place, and it might be a better fit for them. And they're, they'll be able to serve in the same kind of capacity that we would. It just makes more sense for them.
Awesome, cool. So yeah, you're right. It can't hurt to just reach out and sort of see what's what, and for people to put those feelers out there. So if you're a brand and you want to get more reach with Amazon, or you want to get reach with Amazon in general, then contact Dan by emailing dan@thewholesaleformula.com. And everyone else, go to thewholesaleformula.com/guide to get the Wholesale 101 report, the little-known business model they used to build a multi-million-dollar company with only $600. Great stuff. And then in general, go to thewholesaleformula.com. So lots of cool stuff today. I mean, there's concrete stuff like with Amazon, but also in general, just that whole entrepreneurial story of like starting in one place, building to like the next logical step and going to the next thing. So lots of cool stuff. I had fun. I had lots of insights myself. So thanks, Dan, for stopping by and sharing your really amazing story with us.
Absolutely, man. I've really appreciated it. It's been a fun show. Like it's one of those shows where it's like I can tell you're a real entrepreneur. Like you understand it and you understand like what people go through. So it's absolutely a blast.
Awesome. Well, it was a blast to listen to you and get sort of that motivational pick-me-up. So thanks for stopping by the show.
All right. Thanks again, Robert.
We really appreciate you listening to today's episode of The Robert Plank Show. Subscribe to us on iTunes and rate and review us at robertplank.com/iTunes.